and welcome to Senior Spot. I'm Jenn Quinn, your host and owner of ComForCare Home Care, and I'm here to introduce you and have you learn from a guest today. His name is Jamie McWilliam, and he is the Executive Director of Concord Park, which is located in West Concord, and he's going to tell us all about the different things that are offered there at Concord Park and helping people live their best life possible. So welcome, Jamie.
Jen, thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
Nice
to be here.
Yes. So I know all about Concord Park, and I'm delighted to have you here so that you can share as much as you can about this wonderful place. So besides it being beautiful and in a wonderful setting, which is always a plus, what brought you to Concord Park? I like to start off with that is, how did you land at Concord Park?
So I had originally worked for the management company of Concord Park, Senior Living Residences. SLR is a small organization based out of Boston that either owns or manages 12 communities in the state of Massachusetts.
Okay.
I worked for them for about 3.5 years at a sister community, Neville Place in Cambridge.
Okay.
And after my time, I left in August of 2011 and actually moved down to Costa Rica with my wife.
What were you doing in Costa Rica?
So in Costa Rica, my wife and I helped start up the first continuing care retirement community in all of Central America.
Oh my goodness. Well, first let's go back to defining what that term is, because I think a lot of people are not aware of what that is.
Sure. So a CCRC is a continuing care retirement community. And essentially that is a full spectrum of care for residents and potential patients of independent living, assisted living, hopefully also Alzheimer's dementia care, and then possibly skilled nursing care for residents/patients that may need that.
So it's the full spectrum, like you said, of being able to enter at one level of care, or none at all, in fact, if it's independent, and then moving through so that you age in place in that particular community.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And also they're a little bit different with assisted livings, certainly have some similarities, but generally with CCRCs there is a pretty decent substantial buy-in. Folks have to put down $300,000 to $700,000 potentially. They get a fair amount of that back after they may move out or possibly pass away, and also still pay a monthly fee, where generally with assisted living it is a monthly fee that folks pay on a monthly basis.
Okay, all right, so that's a big difference. I
It
mean,
is.
either putting a lot of funds out in the beginning, or having something kind of go throughout their life in terms of paying on an ongoing basis.
Correct.
That makes a big difference for people in terms of what they're able and capable to do financially.
Absolutely.
So I want to go back to Costa Rica. It just sounds wonderful.
So do I.
So when you and your wife were there, you obviously helped to set this up. Was it for folks that were from Costa Rica? The residents were originally from there, or was it people that were coming from all different parts of the world?
A little bit of both.
Really?
So it was a Costa Rican company. I simply fell into this. I worked at a different community in a different company when I started off in assisted living out in Needham. Avery Crossing is a really nice community. And at the time, in March of 2007, a gentleman, Marti Jimenez, a great guy who actually went to Harvard Business School, was touring on behalf of some investors and partners from Costa Rica looking to start a senior care community and options in Costa Rica. So he and I, just by chance, hit it off. He flew me down a few times in 2007 and once in 2008.
That's a great way to do a job interview.
Right. And thankfully, I opted not to make the leap or the move into Costa Rica in 2008 due to certainly various reasons, but also then the financial crisis happened. I then thereafter was able to meet my wife on a blind date, which was nice, and she too works in the industry. She works for actually somewhat of a competitor, not in the market, but for organizationally, she works for Brightview Senior Living as a sales and marketing director.
So this is all in the family.
It is all in the family.
So you were able to convince her to join your life and then go on this adventure.
She was skeptical. She is from Wakefield, and we live in Wakefield now, and was skeptical to make that big move. But I said, we don't have kids. Let's give this a chance.
And
it was a great option. So things had kind of died down with the project in Costa Rica, and Marti reached out to myself and Jill in January of 2011, right after we got married, saying, come on down, the project's back on. And we went down for about a 3-day whirlwind tour of Costa Rica. I convinced her, and we sold her condo that she owned in Saugus and went to Costa Rica in September 2011. And it was just a great experience on so many different levels. Got to pick up some decent Spanish, traveled extensively in Costa Rica and decently in South America. And it was part of a startup, my first startup within a community. And we helped design the building, hire all the staff, get the documents, train the staff. When we opened in November of 2013, it was such a big deal. The president of Costa Rica was there to cut the ribbon for us.
Wow.
Because senior...
that's a really monumental advancement, I would imagine.
It was.
Anywhere. I mean, the continuum of care and those sort of CCRCs, that is something that is, even here in the United States, we don't have, we don't have a large number of them.
Correct.
So to be able to do it over in Costa Rica is pretty fascinating.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud about it. It was, again, a great opportunity, a fun time. And they really needed the setup and the care for seniors because within Costa Rica, much of the care would fall upon the family.
Sure.
And families were becoming smaller in Costa Rica. Costa Rica is the most affluent, safest, and maybe a little partial, nicest country of Central America. So a lot of the people would be traveling. Both the son/daughter or daughter-in-law are working outside the home, so it'd be hard to care for mother-in-law or mom that came in there. And they just didn't have the education, services, support for senior care. So it has a long way to go, but hopefully Verdeza was a positive first step in providing a dignified, good quality of life for residents. And it was both for Costa Ricans and also the gringos that moved down to Costa Rica.
That's what they're referred to.
Correct. Gringos and Costa Ricans call themselves, it's not derogatory anyway, ticos and ticas.
Okay.
So a lot of folks, and I can understand why, go to Costa Rica for retirement. It's less expensive, but not all that much less expensive.
Okay.
The best weather in the world from the end of November to April. Certainly when we were in the Central Valley of Escazú, it was mid-80s, no humidity, a great breeze to cool you off. You're surrounded by mountains. Then the rainy season begins right around now, usually late April until about October-ish. Beautiful in the morning time, but it will begin progressively rainier in the PM, and then a lot of rainy days for much of the day, September and October.
So here you are reminiscing. So fast forward to being in West Concord.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So, and you returned to working for senior living residences,
Correct.
which
Correct.
is the management property for Concord Park
That's correct.
in West
Yes.
Concord.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I stayed in good accord with Bob, Peter, and Tad, the partners of SLR. They really, really are a good company, good guys that try to live by our right values as an organization. And every once in a while, they give me some advice and consulting. When I had to be in a construction question, I would ask Peter, what'd you guys do for this or for that? And they were very generous. They would send information, send some documents to help get the ball rolling for us. So the opportunity presented itself. I spoke with them in the fall of 2013, knowing that we were looking to come home. My wife was more excited to come home than I was. I was thinking, let's just stay down here. But I'm glad we came home. And
I'm glad you did too.
So we stayed in good accord, and I replaced Nancy Crowley, who kind of could be Miss Concord. She knows everybody and anything of Concord.
I was going to say, a lot of people, even in this here in the Westford community and all the surrounding communities, that's a name that is well known for someone that has done incredible things for seniors.
Yep, she really has. She was a nurse much of her life before she got into the assisted living field. She was the one and only executive director of Concord Park when it opened up in 2001.
So how many years was she there?
She was there for 13 years.
Okay.
Essentially 13
That's
years.
That's a long stretch. In this industry in particular, that is a long stretch.
It really is. And that's a testament to her. It's a testament to SLR, and also a testament to the owners of Volunteers of America. So I had big shoes to fill. Certainly no pressure to come in and replace this walking legend of Nancy Crowley. But she was quite supportive. We had a good transition, I think. She's still with the organization on a part-time basis as a regional really quality control on a nursing front, because that's her background for all of our various communities. And I've been now at Concord Park a little over 2 years. You can't believe how quickly time goes, but it's been a great experience. There's always challenges within the industry and just in work and life in general.
But part of it is how you handle those challenges, and I know firsthand from having clients and knowing people that are residents at Concord Park, you do a dynamic job, as well as the different folks on the staff that have done a great job in managing things, and helping people to solve some issues that they might have. But there's so many great things that are going on at Concord Park. And one of them that I would love to share with everybody that I know is the fact that you have people, like you mentioned, the previous director that was there for a long time. You have director of nursing, you have nurses, you have CNAs that have been there for many years.
Yep.
So I think for me, that's a differentiator when someone goes into a place. That speaks volumes.
It really does. It really does.
So
folks have been there since day one. And again, a little repetitive, but that is just a great benefit for us because they know the systems, policy, procedures, what we expect from them. They helped me along the way.
Sure.
The veterans have been there for a long time. It's great for familiarity for the residents and family members. So we're really fortunate and very lucky because there can be a lot of churn and burn or going through different administrators,
nursing. A lot of turnover.
There really is a lot of turnover because it's not the easiest of industries, but it can be very rewarding. And I think we've got a great atmosphere, chi or whatever you want to call it when they're building that. I think people have a warm sense of coziness and sense of home when they come to the community. And it's just as much about the residents as it is as our staff members.
So you mentioned just the comfort and the consistency. What are some of the other things that if you were to name on a list, why would somebody want to reside in the assisted living, portion of Concord Park?
Sure. So I talked briefly earlier, but as an organization, SLR, we really try to talk about and stress to our people and live by our right values as a company. Some of those right values, first and foremost, is resident quality of life. We are here for the residents to help try to maintain their independence as best we can, maybe with some outside additional services to help support those residents. And it's not who's right, it's what's right for the residents, and that does start up from top.
That's a nice motto to
it
go
really
and
is.
live by.
We're here for the residents, and another right value is integrity. And I know they're a company of integrity. Previously working for them, that's why I wanted to come and work for them again.
Sure.
Certainly not perfect, but some other communities or companies, you'll hear some stories maybe not so good or doing the right things, and they really do the right things.
And that's a lot of it. I would consider that behind the scenes, where you're continuing to follow, like you said, the values, the core beliefs, and things like that. So those are the things that sometimes are often behind the scenes and taken for granted.
Sure.
So that's kind of just an expectation because we all want to have a good quality life. Yep. Now, if I were to drop in the lobby and ask one of the men or one of the ladies, what is it about Concord Park that you like the most? What would be some of the things that they might say, whether it be activities or food, whatever it happens to be?
That's a good question.
Because that's what people are looking for. You're looking for a place to live and to age in place, and what's important to people, So what would you say they, would be some of the top things that people love? And
I'd be curious myself to see what their response would be. If I had to speculate, I would probably think, I think intimacy is maybe a big part of that. Hopefully we're a Goldilocks size. We're not too big, but we're not too small either, where you can continue to do your own thing, but you aren't just a number. We do have generally 85-ish to 90 residents. So I think that's the overall feel of that community. I keep stressing, which is so important. I think it carries over and transcends to the residents. We have a few innovative programs that our residents really seem to enjoy as well. And that's another one of our right values is innovation. What can we do that's innovative or different than others?
So what are some of the programs that are the innovative kind of differentiators and
Sure.
and help with that intimacy? And
so one of them that we're really proud about is called our Brain Healthy Cooking Program. Our menus, and we were the first organization in the United States to do something like this. Maybe this was my previous time with the company, I think in 2007 or 2008.
Okay.
We'd started to roll this out. And it's Brain Healthy Cooking. So our
Brain
menus...
Healthy Cooking,
yes.
Which brings me to a follow-up question about your food. But go ahead and
Okay.
tell me about about this program.
So our menus are based off a Mediterranean-type diet. Science has really told us right now, there's various things to maybe prevent or stave off the onset of Alzheimer's dementia. Certainly there's no cure and there's no guarantee. Exercise being one of, if not the greatest aspect for us, but
Absolutely.
also
Keep
diet.
your body going.
Diet. Mm-hmm. And the Mediterranean diet with the whole grain pastas, whole grain breads, plenty of options of vegetables. We also have fish offerings 8 to 10 times a week for our residents. On our tables, we offer a healthy alternative to salt and pepper, our spice of life. Cinnamon, what can lower your blood sugar levels, fight inflammation, 2 indicators or signs of Alzheimer's dementia.
So these are the things that I would even consider, again, behind the scenes.
Yep.
You know, that people don't necessarily realize, and that it goes to show that keeping up with studies and keeping up with what is best is going to be integrated, which is a big plus, because you're looking out for someone's health.
Correct. And I've even carried that over into my personal life. I somewhat got into this industry via my father, who also worked in the assisted living field, but my grandmother suffered from Alzheimer's dementia, was diabetic, and there are strong signs, and science tells us a correlation of diabetes and Alzheimer's dementia. My father, thankfully still in good health, 72 years old now, also diabetic. So I have, for my healthy snack during the day, I snack on a lot of nuts, which is very healthy for us. When I do my grocery shopping, I'm buying the whole grain bagels or the whole grain bread, and really enjoy eating a lot of fish. So I've tried to carry this in my own personal life because I can see the benefits. Residents will stop me in the hall sometimes and say, I went to the doctor and he or she told me my blood pressure was down or my cholesterol level was down, and they really attribute it to the diet. It's not just good for our mind, but also cardiovascular health.
That must be such a good feeling, too, to get that. And that also speaks to the intimacy, the closeness of the community, because they wouldn't be so forthcoming in wanting to reach out to you to share that with you. That's something that you're a part of their life, and then they're happy to share that with you, which
That's a fair point.
I think is, again, a behind the scenes thing, but it's very relevant to what type of community that you're building at Concord Park. Now, making choices to go into an assisted living can be difficult.
Sure.
And it might be difficult for the individuals that are going to be residing there, or it might be difficult for the families that are helping them to make these decisions. So can you tell me what is the move-in process? How does someone go from, being a non-resident to being a resident?
Sure. I would add a caveat to that of you never can start too soon to look at your options. It's really important to be prepared. And I could touch upon a story that we had today.
I love stories. Go for it.
So a perfect example was truly quite heartwarming and just this morning. So a woman came to our community about a year ago now. We looked at these documents. And her husband, unfortunately, had early onset of Alzheimer's dementia, probably about 65 years old, maybe.
That's young.
It is young. A former college professor and very nice man, quite beloved. And she was a sweetheart, is a sweetheart of a woman. And she gave a deposit in September. She toured a lot of communities and said, Concord Park, I know, is the right place. You seem to really live by those right values. It has that right feel. I want my husband to come here when we're ready. So she gave a deposit because we very rarely have availability memory support near Alzheimer's dementia care. So I would call her just because she was on the list of application pools saying, hey, Pam, it's Jamie. We have an open apartment. Oh, he's doing great. No need for it right now. Well, just this week, Wednesday, she sent me an email. She has a very serious medical situation herself.
I actually know this person.
Okay.
We'll talk about it afterwards. They're incredible people.
Very, very nice, salt of the earth, great people.
Which speaks, again, a lot to the fact that the consideration is for having her husband be supported at Concord Park.
Correct. So she's going in for very major surgery next week. Obviously nervous, anxious of how things will pay out, what her recovery will be. And by chance, we have an open apartment. A resident that lived with us for a total of 9 years on our traditional side and memory support neighborhood, moved out after having a stress fracture, unfortunately, and now needs skilled nursing community permanently. So the family just moved the items out of the room this past weekend. Another family that was on the wait list had passed on the apartment. And so,
but that's a good reason to talk about planning, because wait lists are very common.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And after meeting with the wife this morning, she's going to be having her husband come with us next week, indefinitely, at least through the end of May, to see how her recovery goes. We hope it goes well. It sounds like it hopefully will, but again, it's major surgery. So she's not sure of what will happen. She's having support of her kids that are coming from out of state to help her and help her husband. And she doesn't know if the husband would stay with us permanently, if they'll evaluate it. But it was truly a heartfelt and heartwarming story because he's going to be safe and secure.
And this is your memory unit.
Correct.
So at Concord Park you have your traditional assisted living.
Yes.
And then you have your memory unit.
Yes.
And I know from past experience with clients that we had that were residing there is that, often if someone needs to move from the traditional setting, like you mentioned, the gentleman that actually just moved out, into the memory unit, it's a very easier, I say it's never easy, it's an easier transition to make if you're within the same physical context.
Sure.
Okay.
Staff knows them.
Exactly.
And it's not that all uncommon either. I would say quite frequently residents from our traditional side of the community will move and progress into our Compass Memory Support neighborhood because it is a progressive disease, Alzheimer's or dementia. Pardon me. So some residents will come over for a day program.
Okay. So it's not that it needs to be a permanent change. It could
Nope.
be that they're residing in traditional assisted living and maybe typically it would be maybe that someone had a spouse that they were in traditional assisted living with, and then they'd be able to go enjoy
That's
the day
quite
program.
common. That's quite common. One spouse may suffer from Alzheimer's dementia. The other spouse is still pretty independent, needing some or minimal assistance. One may go over to memory support neighborhood during the day to benefit from the programming, give the other spouse a break and peace
Yes.
of mind.
Great. I know, and that I know firsthand from clients that have done that in the past, and it's been a real blessing for them to be able to do that, and for the family as well.
Absolutely.
So I think that also is an important piece where when you have like a move-in or you have just the conversation, the sit-down about, this is what's available and this was, this is the way we approach things, is that you're not just thinking about the individual, you're also thinking about the whole family too.
Correct.
And how it impacts everyone's lives.
Yep.
Because often as parents, we want to make sure that our kids are happy and, and often we'll make decisions based on making sure that the whole family is on board with something.
Correct, because the roles somewhat reverse. I don't know how some of these folks, it's truly the sandwich generation, that are caring for their elderly parents, who almost always love and are crazy about mom or dad. It becomes a lot of work, and they might have kids in middle school, high school, or even college that have returned to come home and live because maybe job prospects aren't so great or they're saddled in school debt, these college students. So these people are trying to live their own lives, focus on their marriage, and they get a call from mom at her own home and my medication spilled all over the floor, and all right, I'll have to leave early and get that for you and do the groceries, and their kids are coming with concerns or complaints, and life can be overwhelming as it is, and you throw those two sometimes curveballs to those adult children. So it's just as much for them as it is the resident to have them peace of mind that they can return to go back and being the daughter, being the son, no longer that caregiver.
And having quality time together too.
Correct.
I think that's a big focus, is that you're able to help people feel comfortable that they're going to be well cared for there, and not be a number, like you said. I think that the size of your community is very comforting, and I certainly have been there through the years, and I may not know people by name, but boy, I know them by face.
Sure.
And at the same folks sitting around the fireplace and enjoying their time. And
absolutely.
I mean, I think it's lovely. I walk in and I feel at home because people are happy to be there for sure. So let me see what else I have to ask for you. Okay. So obviously, you mentioned a deposit. Cost is a big obviously a big factor in terms of making these decisions. So what are the different ways that that someone might be able to pay for, for residing at Concord Park?
Sure. So I would say that the most common way certainly is the vast majority of residents sell their home to pay for assisted living. So typically, hopefully they have some savings that some people might come in to try it as a respite stay.
Mm-hmm. Describe what that is, because that's a word that you and I know very well.
Sure.
So what do you mean by a respite stay?
So a respite stay can be a trial stay for a resident. Maybe a resident's been at home independently, had a fall, is at Emerson Hospital, needs to go somewhere ASAP, and they can move in. It's like a hotel.
Okay.
So you pay a daily rate. We provide the furniture for you. That maybe it's a short-term recovery before you could go back home, or maybe alternatively, some folks are skeptical to make that leap, to make that big move. I don't want to make a long-term commitment. I don't have to deal with selling my house right now.
So it's like a trial run.
Correct.
Whether it be they're considering a permanent move there, or maybe it's like you said, a family member might have something going on, might need to go on a vacation.
Correct.
and it might absolutely be a short-term thing.
Absolutely.
So how short-term can it be? Is there a range of the minimum and the maximum for the stay?
We have no minimum.
Okay.
Some places mandate that you come in for a month. Again, as a company in a right value of integrity, why do you have to mandate that? Sometimes the caregivers need a break.
That's right.
They say, I just need a weekend to myself. Again, not that I don't love Mom, but this is overwhelming. I just need a break, and maybe she can come for.
Can people send kids there so that Mom can get a break?
I'm wondering that myself. I have a 13-month at home. Let's see if I can reverse.
I'm the opposite. I have like almost 13 and 15. So yeah, can they go there so I can have a break, or maybe me? Maybe I can go there.
Right, exactly.
I know the food's good, so that's a plus.
So it's a nice option for folks that maybe in a time of need, they're going on a vacation, they can place a spouse or a loved one and know they'll be safe at Concord Park for that week or long weekend. Or some folks try it for 2 months. They say, I want to try it for at least 2 months to see if I truly like it. The typical...
So not locked in.
Correct, not locked in. The typical adjustment period for residents is anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
So I tell people, if you're really trying it on a trial to see if you like it and want to make that move, give it at least 2 months. That first month, you're just getting everything, your sea legs, your bearings, and all right, now I kind of understand everything. And that second month is a true trial to see if Concord Park is hopefully the right fit for you.
Sure. Now, I know if someone is not maybe driving any longer, I know that you have different residents that have cars.
Sure.
You see the resident parking right up front, of course.
Correct.
And but you might have residents that aren't driving. So in order for them to be able to feel like they're getting out in the community, if they don't have family members that are coming by on a regular basis to bring them out, tell me about some of the different outings and things, because I always see the van, the bus, I always see that in front, which is so great because I'm thinking, wow, I wonder where they're going today.
Correct.
So tell me about that.
So we have scheduled transportation at least 3 days a week, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Tuesday mornings we typically go on errands to the CVS's, Stop and Shop of the world, maybe some other personal trips. Wednesdays we try to do medical appointments for the residents, and Thursdays is our trip day. So they've gone to Indian Hill Concerts in Littleton, the Bolton Orchard Winery, which I would like to have gone on that trip, Concord Players, Kimball Farms, the MFA, and if we're really in a pinch, someone from our building and grounds crew has brought residents to the hospital or other doctor appointments on a Monday or Friday.
Sure.
Again, resident quality of life and trying to take care of them as best we can.
Well, I love hearing all of these things about how people can feel like a part of a community. They're going to be able to have excellent food. You're looking out for people's health. You're looking out for their families. It's a great place. So I thank you, Jamie McWilliam of the Concord Park in West Concord. And Jamie's the executive director, lots of experience, and really leads a wonderful place. So thank you, Jamie.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Excellent.